And a good example that brings this to light is really just even in the nursing field. So we do a lot of work across nurses and across nursing schools and employers. And don't quote me on this exact stat. If I was smart, I would remember the exact number, but it's something like 30% of first-year nurses leave within the year. And we also have hiring partners, hospitals, et cetera, saying that nurses are not practice ready when they get on the job. It's not because they don't have nursing technical skill. They do. They had to pass an NCLEX test. They had to demonstrate skill in a clinical. Where they're falling off and why they're leaving the field early is because no one prepared them for the realities of what it is on the job. And so when we are preparing nurses, for example, in higher ed, to pass an NCLEX test, because that is the standard by which we are all judged as higher ed institutions, we are not spending time teaching them things like how to deal with a difficult patient, how to accept feedback from a doctor who's in a bad mood and is going to dismiss you immediately and not hear your concern. Is that going to ruin your day? How are you going to keep going? How are you going to keep talking to patients? And the reality is, if we could define that those are the kinds of things you have to do on the job, we can teach to those. I can create an assessment that is performance-based, based on case study, or we do a lot of live simulations with live actors to really simulate those stressful things. If we can do that, then we can have a verified, trusted signal, and we can help actually put a dent in the fact that nurses are leaving in droves in their first year. Teachers are leaving in droves in their first year. And it's partly because we haven't done a good job of preparing them for the actual skills and abilities that they have to do on the job. One more example, Sasha, if you don't mind, that I'll use from just even teaching. We just did work with registered teacher apprenticeships in Tennessee. And when I met with 16 faculty across the state, they all agreed classroom management. We have to have teachers who can manage a classroom. Sure, that's like a no-brainer. Yeah, of course we need that. And I said, how do you assess that today? The vast majority said it's a 5 to 7 page essay on their personal theories of classroom management. And then they might do a diagram of what their ideal classroom looks like and explain how that supports classroom management. And that was literally the culminating assignment in a class really talking about classroom management. And I can tell you from experience that that will do nothing to prepare you for the first time you're in a room of 35 teenagers and one of them calls you a 4-letter word. What are you going to do in that moment? But I can simulate that for you so you can practice how you're going to deal with that in the middle of a lesson. And I know I can't recreate the exact same scenario for you, but I can at least give you some reps before you're just stuck in a classroom wondering, man, why did I write that 5 to 7 page essay? And just to be clear, it doesn't mean the essay was a bad idea. You still need to know the theory to understand how you might react to something and let that inform what you do. But like, this disconnect, we can't afford it anymore. Like, the world's changing too fast and we need people, we need skilled workers, competent workers in the workforce. And until we can start to really weave that together, we're going to be in the same place that we're in right now with labor shortages.